So why did President Obama snub the French, and why won't our leaders do their job? Joining us now, Colonel Allen West. Nice to see you, Colonel. I should add that Secretary Kerry, in his defense, he was going to Pakistan to answer to another terrorist issue. But your thoughts on the president not going?
Well, it was an absence of leadership, and the United States is considered, and the President of the United States is considered the leader of the free world. And in an instance such as this, it would have been great to have the President showing that solidarity. If you can get Benjamin Netanyahu and Mahmoud Abbas in that same line of leaders, then our President should have been there. And it's very interesting that Secretary of State John Kerry would accuse me of quibbling over this, but yet it was even the White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest today who said they made a mistake. And so you have to ask yourself, you know, who is calling the shots? Who is advising the president? You know, what do they consider good optics? Because this is bad perception.
You know what I don't get, though, is how it even happened. I mean, like, if I were invited to a big event, and I assume the President of the United States was invited, the first thing I would have said if I were a representative is, who's going? And when I start hearing Angela Merkel, German Chancellor, Prime Minister Cameron, President Abbas, Palestinian President, Prime Minister Netanyahu, I start hearing all these big names. I think two things. One is, wow, the United States ought to be represented. But secondly, this is my chance to get everybody in a room and try to figure out how we're going to confront this problem, you know, unity in numbers.
You're absolutely right, but the thing is, we have an administration that does not want to admit that there is a problem. If you go back and you look at Attorney General Eric Holder's interview on Sunday on 2 talk shows, he refused to say Islamic extremism. We still can call the Nidal Hassan attack in Fort Hood workplace violence. We don't have an official stance from the administration on Islamic terrorism, jihadism, Islamofascism, Islamic totalitarianism. They just see this as extremism by another name. And that's very disconcerting. When you go back and you look at the speech that was given by the Egyptian President El-Sisi on New Year's Day at the Islamic Jurisprudence University there, and he called out the radical imams to stop with the violence, stop with the vile messaging that is causing people to go toward this very virulent ideology. But yet we can't get that from our own president and our own leadership. But yet they can take Air Force One to Knoxville, Tennessee, and talk about free community college education.
Why won't they say Islamic extremism? What is, I don't understand that.
Well,
is it because
they don't
believe it, or it's not politically correct? What is the rationale for not doing it?
Well, at this point in time, 6 years into his administration, it begins to look like complicity. Because remember back in 2009 when the president spoke in Cairo, he invited members of the Muslim Brotherhood to be front and center. So you have to really start to ask yourself, is this a president that is serious about combating Islamic terrorism, Islamic totalitarianism, and combating this enemy? I don't know if we can fairly answer that question, but right now the president is stacking the cards against himself.
Well, he's used drones against a lot of people. In fact, he got
but drones is not a strategy. That's not a strategy, Greta.
I totally understand. I think my guess is what his thinking is. It's like when he spoke right before, when he spoke at the Democratic Convention in 2012, and he says Al Qaeda's on its heels. I think he wants to convince himself that this is over and this has been won.
Well,
and you know, he keeps, and I think that's the problem. Not that he's in favor of any of this stuff, but just that he wants to convince himself that this has all gone away. But anyway.
Well, it is his political ideology and campaign promises that is driving his strategy.
Colonel West, nice to see you, sir. Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.